Okay, let's talk about creating or editing content on a page. I've just grabbed some lorem ipsum, which is just Latin to kind of use as a space holder. And we'll talk a little bit more about blocks in subsequent videos, but I have assigned a block to this page, and what I wanted to demonstrate is that our intent was to create a more readable content block that instead of spanning about 720 maybe odd pixels across the width of the page, and we know from research that's been done with eye tracking as people use the web that long blocks like that are not really optimal for reading. So that's why we've created this narrower column width that's about 450 pixels. I've simply dropped in some content. And so it's possible, to obviously create content from scratch and just sit down as you build your pages and plug the content in if that's the route you want to go. We'll talk a little bit more about copying and pasting in one of the next videos. But in terms of basic formatting, you'll by default you'll see a filtered HTML view, and that's what all authors will have. They'll have a limited formatting palette in terms of what they can do. And again, as you'll see, there's more options for admins under the full HTML access. The problem with authors is that we're trying to really do some preemptive damage control in a sense, because we're thinking that authors are going to be less familiar with the system, use it less, not be as tech savvy as admins, and so we want to kind of restrict what they can do, because the more options we provide, potentially the more things that they can do wrong. So basically in a filtered HTML view, you can do bold, ital. I would avoid underlining because it could be confused with the link. You can do bulleting, either an unordered list with round bullets, or actually I guess we style them as gold blocks, or an ordered list, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. Or you can highlight content and embed a link using the link tool, or the unembed link to take the link back out. You'll note if I click over here to full HTML, which you will have access to as admins, you'll see that there's quite an extensive formatting palette going on that you'll have access to. But again, in terms of the basics, and this would be similar to a Dreamweaver design view, I click on bold, I click on ital, I highlight something and I want to embed a link. Now if I forget to put in the http:// the link's not going to work properly, but when I try to insert that, note that Drupal flags that and asks me to add the prefix, and I want to do that, so I'm going to hit OK. Now, the other thing I should probably be doing is putting a descriptive title for accessibility reasons, and again, that's just going to be extra information for somebody who has some type of blindness or sight impairment, and it's going to tell them a little bit more about what that link is. So I'm just going to say in this case, it's USM homepage. Now I do have the option of opening in a new tab or new window if I want somebody to stay on my page and don't want them to navigate away. When they click on that link, it will spawn a new tab or a new window depending on how they have their browser configured. So if I click that and hit insert, you'll note that it shows up underlined in purple, and that's just showing me that a link has been inserted. So let's stop for now on that. Again, I would hit save to make my changes, but